always fun talking about Game of Thrones on the internet.
It's the Spoilercast.
Better late than never.
This is true.
Boop. This is for episode 5 of season 5, the 5.5. Kill the boy.
Kill the boy.
Kill the boy. Which...
don't physically kill the boy.
Now, I know what you're thinking. You hear the name Kill the Boy in Game of Thrones, you automatically think, okay, who's dying?
Yeah, who's the boy?
Turns out this one was metaphorical.
It was metaphorical.
I mean, people still died this episode, but none of them were the boy.
This is true.
Though, unless you can call that one dude that became Dragon Buffet a boy. But he was kind of old.
He was old. He was definitely
He was old and bald and a slaver.
So, yeah, let's start there then, I guess.
Where else can you start? I mean...
Well, the episode didn't start there, but, you know, we're just going to go pretty much talk about stuff as we go and not necessarily put it in the order that it actually happened on the show.
Which is how we usually do things.
Yeah, this is true. But
so, yeah, Daenerys, not happy.
She pissed.
Very distressed that Sir Barristan is dead.
Yeah, she not happy.
No, we weren't happy. We weren't happy either. Grey Worm made it through, but Sir Barristan died of his wounds. And so she decided that the best way to get people's attention about this shit, she got the head of every major family still left in the city and brought him down to her dragon pit. And then basically said, well, you know, who can tell who's innocent? Who can tell who's guilty? The dragons sure can't. Maybe they'll eat all of you. And then she kicked one of the dudes ahead, and then he got lit on fire and then torn in half and eaten by both dragons.
It was amazing.
But in front of the other people who were leaving lots of mess on the floor, no doubt.
Pretty much, yes.
And then she just dragged him off to jail after that.
Well, what's his name? Her advisor? Or not her advisor. The guy that came and talked to her and told her to open the fighting pits. I can't think of his name for the life of me.
Yeah. His car, I think.
His car?
Yeah, I think
she
was
was talking to
his
him.
family name, at least.
She was talking to him and was like, and he said everyone has to die eventually, and he stood his ground. He didn't grovel.
Oh, yeah, he did the old... He tried the Valor Morghulis route, the all men must die, because he didn't want to be seen as a coward.
Right.
But, you know, he didn't really mean it.
Right.
Because he's not a faceless man, so, yeah. It wasn't working.
No.
But... Yeah, so she threw the rest of them in jail and then spent the rest of the episode trying to figure out what to do with the city now that's descended to this level of just crazy violence and barbarism. And then we find out that Grey Worm and Missandei, that's happening. Whether it's going to actually involve any real, pumping stuff.
Right.
I don't think so, because he's kind of a eunuch. But
you know,
it was sweet. It was those two were adorable.
It was. It was. You know, it was that moment of I was ashamed because I was afraid, and it's like no need for you to be afraid. He's like, no, it wasn't a fear of dying. It was a fear of never seeing you again. Yeah,
and then you could hear the chords just swell, and then she got on the bed with him and kissed him and held him, and yeah. But so Daenerys basically, was kind of reflecting on what Barristan had always counseled mercy to her ever since he joined her.
Right.
Even up until the day he died. He'd always counseled mercy. And it made her reflect. She's, asking, what should I do? And Missandei tells her, well, I've seen you listen to your counselors, I've seen you ignore them, and I've also seen you find a third option that only you could see. That was the best. You're the best option as far as you were concerned. And so she kind of does that here. She goes down to the jail cell where his car is, and he immediately gets on his knees like, I'm sorry.
He's like, I did it because I wanted to seem brave.
Yeah. Like, I didn't really mean it. I actually am afraid of death. It's like, I had nothing to do with what's going on. I'm sorry. Please don't feed me to the dragons. And, normal shit, really, if you're in that situation. Please don't feed me to a dragon.
Exactly. Exactly.
Words you never would think you'd have to say in your entire life. But,
right.
But there you are. There you are, faced with dragons eating people. So, right. Please don't feed me to your dragons. I swear I'll do better. I'm so sorry.
Please don't feed me to the dragons.
Or to ride back. Anyway, that's a joke that, 5% of the audience is going to get.
Probably, yeah.
And even the ones that do get it are be like, nah, you could do better. The sad part is I can't.
And so Daenerys was listening to him grovel or whatever, and she's like, I can admit when I'm wrong, when I was wrong. And he looked at her kind of confused, and she's like, I'm gonna open.
He looked at her like, is this a trap? Trick?
Were you wrong for not feeding me to the dragon? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, wait, what is this? Is this going to end up with me actually, getting my hopes up falsely and then getting fed to a dragon?
And she goes on to tell him that she's reopening the fighting pits, but no slave will ever fight in the fighting pits, only free men. And then she also goes on to tell him that in order to cement her place on the throne as with the people, that she's going to end up marrying one of the a member of one of the high families. Mm-hmm. And she says, and what's the line? It's
she says, and by coincidence, my suitor is already on his knee. He's already kneeling.
He's already kneeling.
And then he looks like at himself. He's like,
what?
Like that's one of those things where like can't tell of good news. I guess I get to live because I have to survive to marry you, but this also feels like it could be a trap.
Right.
Everything feels like it could be a trap, basically. So, yeah, she's going to marry into the city's nobility, I guess. And then also throw them a bone by opening their little fighting pits so they can sit down there and rabble while people cut each other to death.
At least they're not cutting apart her guards in the alleys anymore wearing golden masks.
Indeed.
That was the goal, I believe.
Yes. So things are looking interesting for Daenerys. I wonder how Dario is going to take her suddenly being engaged.
Yeah. Well, I think he pretty much said, he's like, I'm yours, and, until you want me or whatever.
Yeah, I'm yours to do whatever you feel like with.
Right.
Don't worry, babe. I'll be your booty call. And, I mean, really, like, is she really gonna stay hitched to, like, is she really interested in being hitched to this guy if she's gonna take the Seven Kingdoms? Like,
well, I think it's...
He's not gonna bring her... She's not gonna bring him with her.
No, but she's doing it because she understands, because of her past, she understands the power of marriage and how marriage links and changes people and... You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's
changes the status of people.
Right.
And,
the thing is, I'm worried about is, like, this guy was, he's a newly made high-ranking member of his family. Like, his dad was the high-ranking member, and then the slaves killed him. Mm-hmm. So it's like, he's, and he kept coming to her, like, trying to, put in words and get on her good side. Mm-hmm. He feels like a climber. Mm-hmm. And those people are dangerous.
Right.
Like, even if she feels like she has the upper hand, like, I don't trust him.
Right.
I don't trust any of them.
I can understand that.
And, yeah, I know she wants to stay there until she's sure, like, there won't be slaves again, people will be okay. But it feels like she's getting into a point now where it's like, oh, you're getting way too tied into this place. You need to get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Take your army and start marching again. I don't know. Definitely, like, it's like, yeah, it feels like she's, like, doing all these power plays, but this one feels like it might backfire a little bit. Because what if he, like, all of a sudden embraces the, being, like, a king role or whatever, and tries to, like, boss her around or starts giving orders and doing shit without her say-so.
Well, I think that the Unsullied are still probably just going to listen to her.
Well, yeah, but, he could go out into the city and make commands or whatever, and it's like, I'm married to mother dragons.
Yeah, but I think if he were to do that, she would probably shut him up pretty quick.
But what if she doesn't hear about it until it's too late? Like, what if he's, like, doing some back-room dealings, and then, with his authority that, can't be questioned by any other regular person, and then none of them are gonna, go up to her and be like, oh, by the way, your husband told me this. Is that legit? Like, that's looking a gift horse in the mouth, so...
Right.
Especially if it's good for them. So I have a, like, knot in my stomach. Like, a little thing that's like, ugh. I don't think this is the right course of action. It's one thing respecting tradition. It's another thing, like tying an albatross to your neck.
Right.
If you understand what I mean.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
So, Daenerys, I don't know. I think she just needs to hop on the back of one of her dragons and then just fly off into the sunset. Fly off and just do whatever she's going to do. We saw what Drogon's up to in his world tour.
Mm-hmm.
The final scene of the episode, because we're going to just jump randomly, was Tyrion and Jorah, their magical mystery tour. They went to Old Valyria.
Yep.
The legendary, often mentioned Valyria that had a doom that's called. The civilization went from being like the peak of the world to not existing overnight almost. Because of this thing they call the doom. And we saw a lot of ruined buildings and water that's on fire and... or smoking water, I guess.
Yeah, it was the smoking waters.
And we've seen smoking water before. We saw it with the wildfire. So, that shit, apparently came from Valyria, like with the Targaryens. So, maybe not a stretch to imagine what happened there.
Right.
It might have been a couple of families started fighting and started using weapons that were a bit above standard grade.
Right.
In addition to having dragons already. But they talk about fire that could burn dragons in this legend that like Tyrion recites. That sounds like wildfire.
Right.
So I think, what the Mad King's plan we found out was to burn down all King's Landing with wildfire. He's hidden underneath the city. Maybe that's what actually happened in Old Valyria.
That's very possible.
A wildfire war broke out.
Right.
And so we saw Drogon. He was just cruising overhead, almost checking out the old neighborhood. This place sucks.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah, I'm gonna find some action. I'm gonna go over to Volantis. I heard there's a red priestess there that's mighty tasty. But while Jorah and Tyrion are kind of just bantering and boating, some stone men jump out of the scenery onto them, and a mighty struggle ensues.
Yes.
We get to see what happens to people who get the grayscale if it's left unchecked. We talk about Shireen, how she had it, but they managed to stop it. The maesters and the healers. We got to see what happened with people that weren't that fortunate. And it's not pretty.
Right.
They look like King Croc.
Yeah, pretty much. They look like they're made of stone, pretty much.
They have the gray scales literally on their entire body, and they go crazy. It's like rabies plus leprosy plus psoriasis.
Kinda, yeah.
Equals bad time.
Yeah.
So, Tyrion's fucking all bound up, and he's just like, get him away from me.
Don't let them touch you. I was like, I'm trying.
And so he decides to jump in the water, which...
Never a good idea.
Yeah, okay, look, man, I understand you're on a boat with them, but what are you doing? You're bound hand and feet. What, you can jump in the water face first? And then, of course, one of them grabs him. But meanwhile, Jorah is going fucking crazy town all over them with his sword. He's just stabbing and cutting and fighting them off. And we think Tyrion's gonna drown. You actually went this is not the end of the episode.
I thought they were, because it goes to black screen. I'm like, this is where they're gonna end it, and they're gonna come back with him waking up in the next episode or something.
But no, they saved us that. But then they dropped the even bigger bombshell, is that Jorah got infected. He has him on his wrist.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So now Jorah's infected with grayscale.
Fuck.
He can't catch a fucking break, can he?
No, he really can't. It's Game of Thrones. Nobody catches breaks.
That's true. That's very true.
The only thing you catch are arrows. God damn. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
I
think this is the first episode in a while where we actually weren't at King's Landing, now that I think about it.
Yeah, that was
Nothing really happened to King's Landing at all in this episode.
Yeah, but there's no Cersei just sneering and saying, fuck you to anybody. Literally, none.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No Lannisters on this episode at all.
Well, Tyrion, but...
Well, he's not really a Lannister anymore.
That's true.
I was talking about,
Tyrion Snow.
I was talking about shitty Lannisters. Well, I don't know what the term would be for... I don't remember what the bastard term for, that area of the world is.
Right.
I know, in the area,
North is snow.
Yeah, the north is snow. Where the Erie is, it's stone is the name. Where River Run, where the Tullys used to rule as Rivers, was the bastard name. So there's I think where Highgarden is Meadow or something, in Meadows. There's names in each region that kind of reflect the region itself.
I got you.
Like where the Baratheons are from, it's storm. I think where for Dorne, it's like sand. Yeah. So I don't know which one would be for the Lannisters area. Probably rivers or meadows. Probably it's right in between Riverrun and Highgarden. It's on the coast there. So who knows? But yeah, I don't really consider him a Lannister anymore. Right. Because he doesn't go around saying he's a Lannister to everybody he meets to try to get out of shit. Right. Like he used to. So for all intents and purposes, he's no longer a Lannister. He's just Tyrion the Dwarf. Basically just victim of circumstance. Yeah. So, yeah, he's a Lannister, but not really.
Not really a Lannister. Yeah.
So. Oh well, at least he didn't get grayscale. That would have been too much heartbreak for me. That would have been too much.
I was expecting it to be him because the guy grabbed his leg. I figured he was probably going to get him on his ankle.
But he did grab him over the pants.
Right, that's true.
Over the pantaloons. So I don't think it's that infectious. Right. I hope. We haven't seen the rest of the season, so who fucking knows?
Right, exactly.
So, like I said, there was nothing at King's Landing. Lots going on at the Wall.
Lots going on at the Wall. Lots going on at
Winterfell. We'll start at the Wall, though.
Yeah,
because the Wall's more fun. Because that's where Jon Snow is.
Jon Snow.
And also Stannis the Mannis.
Stannis the Mannis.
The one true king of our hearts.
For hearts, like I said, they're making us like him because he's gonna die in 2 episodes.
Shut up! It's not gonna happen.
Yes, it is. That's what they do.
He's gonna take back Winterfell. He's gonna take the North because it makes too much sense to have a guy who worships the god, the Lord of Light. Like a god of fire and shadow, taking over the North. It makes too much sense. He'll burn back the winter with his fiery heart, and Melisandre's shadow vagina.
And her shadow vagina. So we find out that he is going to be marching. Him and his army are going to be marching.
Yeah, he straight up leaves. End of the episode, he's gone. Yeah. Him and all of his horses and all of his men and Humpty Dumpty.
Humpty Dumpty.
And also his wife and child. He's like, I ain't leaving him here. I ain't leaving him at the castle, at Castle Black. Right. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. They march with us.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a hard march. They ain't going to be safe here. It's like, we'll be safe. They're going to be safe at the Wall?
Right.
You see what's going on here, right? You see that there's a new Lord Commander, and half the people don't like him. Yeah, no, they're coming with us. Right. But he does leave his fleet for Jon to use. Because Jon is, he's making the hard choices, man. I'll give him that much. He wants the Wildlings alliance, basically. So he says, here's what I'll do. Will you convince... He talks to, was it Tormund Giantsbane, I think? Yeah. The big, fiery ginger guy who's really awesome. And he's basically like, look, your people need a leader now. You're the best they got. And I want them to get south of the Wall before winter because I don't want them adding to the army of the dead. Right. Really sound logic. Yeah. Look, we don't get along right now, but we're all still human beings. If I let them die north of the Wall, then they're not human beings anymore.
They're going to turn into White Walkers, and they're going to come, and their army's going to be bigger.
And it's a lot harder to kill White Walkers than humans. So, what we're going to do is, they have this thing called the Gift. They mentioned it in this episode. And in the book, they explain it a bit more. It's a big chunk, like a tract of land south of the Wall. From the Wall to X, miles south, all the way across the continent is the Night's Watch. There's a land for the Night's Watch. The king set it aside, gave it to the Night's Watch to use however they will. And as you heard, people settle it, and there's villages. And the Night's Watch just kind of leaves them alone. But technically, it's their land. Right. That belongs to the Night's Watch. So it's a shitload of land there. And they're saying the Wildlings can settle as much as land as they want. Right. As long as they promise to fight with us against what's coming on the other side of the Wall when the time comes. And, eventually Jon gets through to Tormund.
Well, he has to call his bluff 7 times.
Yeah, he has to uncuff him. He has to sweet talk him. He's got to threaten him. Yeah, he's getting good at this whole coercing things out of people, though. You know, you can tell he learned a lot from his talking with Mance.
Mm.
He's figured out kind of what buttons to push.
Right.
And that Tormund was definitely more about the safety of his people than anything else.
Right.
And that's what he uses. He's like, look, you know, you don't care about if you live or die, but what about all of them?
Right. What about the women and children, the ones that can't fight?
Do you want to condemn them to a fate worse than death? So that convinces him, but he's like, you know, they're all heading for the coast. So Jon, you know, he's like, I'll go, but you got to come with me, Jon.
Right.
Jon Snow.
He's like, they won't believe me. They won't get on your boats. They'll be afraid you're just going to set them on fire as soon as you get out in the water.
Yeah.
So you need to come with me, so they know that they won't be betrayed on their way down to the lands around the wall. So
Jon tells the brothers of the Night Watch his plan. It goes over about as well as you'd expect.
Right.
People are like, you know, yelling at him and saying this and that, and, you know, I'll follow you anywhere, but I won't do this. You know, very Meatloaf-esque.
Right.
Of a Dolores Ed, but in the end, you know, it's Jon's got this rock-solid logic that, look, if we don't do this now, it's gonna doom us later.
Right.
You know, you're not happy about this. We've been fighting the wildlings for 8,000 years. They're not who we were supposed to be fighting. The Night's Watch, our oath does not talk about wildlings. It talks about defending the realms of men.
Right.
Not killing some men to keep them out of some other men's land. Right. So he's right. People, when you're in a war, you kind of get tunnel visioned.
Right.
They see everything as a war with the wildlings. But he says, you remind them, he's like, look, some of you were up there at the Fist of the First Man. You saw what's coming. And it's going to decimate them first. And it's going to grow their army by 10,000 people. Right. So fuck that noise.
Right. This is what's going to happen. This is how we're going to do this.
Thus quoted Jon Snow, fuck that noise.
Before Stannis left, we also got a pretty cool scene with him and Sam.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool.
Stannis was praising his dad. He's talking about how Sam's father was the only person that ever defeated Robert in battle when he was rebelling against the king. Which means Sam's family was loyal to the king. So an interesting little tidbit there. Right. But, you know, then that's the obvious statement of the night. It's like, you don't look like a warrior. To Sam. And Sam's like, but
you killed a White Walker.
Yeah, but you killed a White Walker.
And he's like, yes, with dragon glass.
Yeah.
The mace just called
Obsidian.
Obsidian. He's like, I know, I don't care about that.
No, he does care. He's like, I know what it's called.
I know what it's called.
He's like, you know, how else can we kill them? You know, how did you know that? He's like, I just stabbed them. And, you know, he's saying, I'm looking through all the books, and nothing here ever says. It just says that the children of the forest
used to hunt with
you know, arrowheads made of the stuff. So, again, another reference to the children of the forest, which kind of ties back into Bran, even though we haven't seen him all season. Right. But they were like the race of creatures that lived on this continent before men, you know, settled it from Essos, from Valyria, and all the other places. So... And, you know, they're supposedly extinct now. But they helped, like, build the wall, and they were the ones that had magic. Right. You know, back when there was dragons and White Walkers and snarls and grumps and all the things people like to talk about condescendingly. Right. So, yeah, it was interesting. You know, tell Sam, keep reading, keep researching this. Because, you know, he's thinking... Stannis is like, well, I have Dragonstone, and there's a shitload of that stuff laying around there. So, yeah, you keep reading how to kill these things. I might send you a raven later. Right. You might be hearing from me again. Once again, Stannis the Mannis seems like the only person that actually gives a shit about the real threat. Right. He's like, yeah, I gotta take Winterfell and do all this shit, but I'm actually... pretty concerned about what's going on up there.
Because, yeah, when he does become king, this shit is happening. So
yeah, it'll probably happen the second he becomes king.
Right,
so,
probably.
You know, priorities. He's got them in order. So, okay, I need to take the kingdom back post-haste. But I'm also really worried about this winter shit. So, yeah, Once again, it's like, you're like, oh yeah, they're making him so likable, he's going to die. And I'm like, fuck you, Danny. They didn't make Joffrey likable before they killed him.
Yeah, that's true, but Joffrey was a prick.
But he was like the anti.
Right.
He was so mean that you just kind of like enjoyed your hatred.
Right.
So it was very...
I fucking hate you so much.
Oh,
I cannot wait to watch you die horribly.
And then when he did, you're just like, oh my god, this is so good.
Yes, this is so good.
Yes.
Rubbing your hands.
Yes. Yes. No.
Choke me a little while you do it.
In other news, meanwhile at Winterfell. We see Brienne and Pod getting a room at the town, right outside of Winterfell. She passes a message into the staff there that for Sansa, if she ever needs help to light a candle in the broken tower, you know. Of course, Sansa doesn't know who it's from, but whatever.
Right. Said you still have friends here.
And meanwhile, Theon is having very angry sex with his kennel master's daughter. The one that's always around that's like, you said you were going to marry me. He's like, and I meant it, but then...
when I was a bastard.
But now I'm not, so fuck you.
Yeah. It's like, I'm still going to keep you around.
Yeah, I'm still going to fuck you. I mean, what's the problem here?
I don't understand what you don't like about this.
In typical Theon not Theon, Ramsay. Oh, God, that was a fuck up. I'm sorry, I'm just so used to Theon being the philanderer of Winterfell.
Right.
Ramsay is the philanderer of Winterfell now. So, yeah, but speaking of Theon, I think I was just getting to this point. The Kennel Master's daughter finds Sansa and has some BS conversation about remembering their mothers.
I think it was this was done out of spite because it's like, you're marrying my man, so this is what we're doing. She
takes Sansa to see who's living in the her kennels, and it's Reeky Theon.
Reeky Leon.
And he is not happy to see her.
So you shouldn't be here.
So you shouldn't be here. And then, because then Ramsay's like, "Do you have something to tell me, Reek?" Because Ramsay's got that weird ESP apparently. He's got that fucking voodoo. So Reek tells him in a very creepy scene where you think he's gonna get punished, but then Ramsay's like, "I forgive you," and like pats his hand, and you're like, "This is somehow worse."
Yeah, really, it kind of is.
Like if you're yelling at him or hurting
syndrome.
him,
it's that whole Stockholm syndrome thing.
Fucking hell. But then at dinner, Ramsay goes on this whole thing. He's like doing a big old generous toast. He's like, "I need more wine," and then out comes Theon in his little dress or smock or whatever.
Right.
And then he makes Theon apologize to Sansa for killing her brothers in front of everybody, which was awkward. And Ramsay sure thought he was being clever. It's like, it's so tense in here. And then fucking his dad's fat bride immediately breaks the tension, or I guess shatters Ramsay's tension by saying, "I'm pregnant!" Fucking the look on Ramsay's face and then the look on Sansa's face was so great. She looked so fucking happy to see Ramsay squirming all of a sudden. Like, she didn't even try to mask it. She was just grinning.
She was just like, ha, ha, ha.
She smiled like little finger smiles, which was really weird. She was sneering, like,
she was,
like a smirk. But
they also said that Reek is going to be giving her away at the wedding.
Yeah, which... It's like, you don't have any family, so Theon is like family. He'll give you away. Yeah,
exactly.
And I'm like, hello, she has an uncle. He brought her here.
Right.
He is alive. He's the Warden of the East. What are you talking about? She doesn't have family. She has an uncle. A very prominent one. He's probably going to want to give her away at the wedding, not some fucking, like, eunuch kennel boy.
Right.
But anyway... Bruce assures air quotes, Ramsay, that whatever baby that he has with his wife, Ramsay is still his son, and gives some speech about how he met his mother.
Yes,
how he met Ramsay's mother, which was
so much better than the show How I Met Your Mother. By the way,
it was stirring and heartwarming. It involved a woman marrying a miller without Roos's permission, so he hung the miller, and then he raped her under his corpse.
Under his swinging hung body.
And then she came back a year later with the baby, and he was going to have her whipped and then throw the baby in the river. But then he looked at the baby and saw that it was his baby, so he kept the baby, and then I'm pretty sure he killed her anyway.
Probably.
So... Yay!
He's like, when I look at you now, I see the same thing the first time I looked at you.
My son.
You are my son, and I need you to help me.
Yeah.
To kekeep the North, or
yeah, because he's aware of Stannis being at the wall.
Right.
He's like, Stannis Baratheon marches on us from the large army from Castle Black. I need you to help me defend the North. And Ramsay's like, yes, Papa.
He's like, yes, Papa.
Yes, Papa.
Yes, Papa. We shall do that.
Oh, there's so many things moving now, like pieces moving towards each other. You can feel the gravity starting to pull on each of them. Like there's like a magnetism. You just can feel. I want to see that. I want to see a conversation or a scene with Stannis and Roose, and just see who can deadpan the other.
Right.
Who can be the driest motherfucker in that room?
That's true.
It's gonna be like a desert.
It would be like a desert. Oh, that would be ridiculous.
And then you see in the other room the two wives talking. It's like the biggest fucking contrast. one's young and fat, the other one's old and like decrepit looking, like fucking Skeletor. Just shooting evil glances at people, trying to spit acid on them. And that was at least my thought. When she was looking around at Shireen waving goodbye to the wildling girl. If looks could kill,
right,
she'd be a Dilophosaurus from Jurassic Park, spitting acid.
I think that's pretty much everything that happened this episode, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Was there anything we were leaving out?
Well, we didn't go to King's Landing or Dorne.
No.
We didn't see Arya.
No.
Again. So quite a few episodes now without her now. I don't know if I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
that's pretty much everything.
This was a pretty narrow focus in this episode, and those storylines getting them where they need to be.
Right.
Next episode will probably be a bit focusing on the other stuff. The Dorne stuff. Everybody's moving towards the Water Gardens and towards Marcella. So that's going to have to come to a head pretty soon. And then we see also with Arya, something's going to have to happen there. She's going to start accepting this new life. Yeah,
she's being trained, so I can understand them being like, yeah, you don't need to see every little aspect of what's going on over there right now.
Right.
I get that, but... it's
eventually.
just one of those.
I mean, you want to see some things, though.
Right. No, definitely. I understand that. We want to know more about the Faceless Men, so...
Indeed.
We do want to see stuff. We don't need to watch her clean dead bodies for 5 weeks. You know what I mean? Like...
Well, what if it's a really sexy dead body?
I guess that's true. The best part about having sex with a corpse is...
What's that?
You get sick of one hole, you can always make another.
So you're talking about, like, rotting corpses, not, like, fresh corpses here, right? Because, skin is still pretty tough, even after you've been dead for a few days.
Yeah, but, I mean, you can take a knife to that. You can make another hole.
I try to keep knives out of my sex life. I don't want blades near me when I'm naked. Like, there's a distinct separation. Knives belong over here. My dangly bits belong over there.
My twig and berries are over here.
Yes. So, no. I will not make another hole. I will satisfy myself with the existing holes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Good day.
Good day.
Good day, I say. Well, this podcast is probably going to get us banned from the internet now. So on that note, we'll wrap up the Spoilercast for this week.
Yes, we will for this week. So,
thank you for listening.
Yeah, of course.
If you made it this far.
If you're catching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our iTunes and Stitcher. You can also find all the other stuff we do, Podcast of Doom wise, on our website, podcastofdoom.com.
I thought you were going to say podcastofdoom.com wise. Yes, but please follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. Mm-hmm. You can always buy merch. Mm-hmm. We do have merch for sales. Mm-hmm. For sales. But, no pressure. It's not like we're going to be monitoring you and seeing if you look at the store and then not buy anything.
You sons of bitches.
Actually, no, I don't know how to do that, so...
I don't even know
how
to do it.
Really no worries. No, you don't have to buy anything if you don't want to.
Thanks a lot for listening, guys. We do appreciate it. Mm-hmm. We'll be back again next week with episode 6.
Episode 6.
Do we have a name for episode 6 yet?
I'm sure they have a name for it. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what it is, but there's one out there.
I'll be damned if I know what it is.
All right, guys. Thanks again for listening. We appreciate it.
On behalf of Podcast of Doom, I'm that guy Todd.
I'm Frizier DZN.
Jesus Christ.
Friday.
That was awful.
It was awful. That's why I said Friday afterwards.
Now, remember, you listen or you die, but I think the more we listen to this one, you're probably definitely going to want to die.